It was revealed this past week that Alina Habba, Donald Trump's favorite lawyer who has not done a good job for him in court, recently, very quietly, and with the conditions not disclosed to the public, settled a lawsuit with a former server from Donald Trump's beloved Bedminster golf course in New Jersey. Now, I had talked briefly in the past about what actually happened with this, just mentioning it as related to other stories. But let me tell you the full story of what happened with this restaurant server at Bedminster. It's a woman by the name of Alice Bianco. And when she was 21 years old, just a couple years ago, working at Bedminster in the restaurant as a server, she claims that she was repeatedly, constantly almost, sexually harassed by the restaurant manager. Okay? Not by Donald Trump. This is not a lawsuit or a complaint against the Trump campaign or Donald Trump or any Trump family member. It's just, hey, the guy running the restaurant here is sexually harassing me, saying that I have to give him sexual favors in order to get protection. But the problem is she couldn't really do much about it because if you go to work for Donald Trump, even as a waiter, you have to sign a non-disclosure form. So what she did was she went out. Actually, let me just read it to you. This is the easiest way to make sure I get everything correct here. Bianco hired an employment lawyer. And this is, back in 2021. So Trump had left office. But anyway, Bianco hired an employment lawyer to consider her options and discuss the matter with coworkers. Then she was approached by Habba, who portrayed herself as a concerned friend willing to give legal advice. At the time, Bianco only knew Habba as a member of the social club who loved to grab the microphone on party nights and belt out songs in the dining hall per text messages filed in court documents. Habba ultimately convinced Bianco to ditch the lawyer and go with her instead. Then advised the waitress to sign a hush money deal that would keep the club out of news headlines and leave Bianco with a paltry sum per text messages cited in the lawsuit. When Bianco later discovered she owed taxes on the $15,000 she got in the settlement, Habba gave her the cold shoulder. "I can't technically give you legal advice," Habba texted back in a message attached to the lawsuit. "That's the problem." Feeling that she'd been taken advantage of, Bianco eventually hired her current attorney. Combing through text messages and legal paperwork, they pieced together a timeline that they believe shows how Habba silenced Bianco to cozy up to Trump. Habba had Bianco sign the non-disclosure deal on August 11th, 2021. 3 weeks later, Habba officially joined Trump's legal team by replacing the well-known litigator Mark Kasowitz. And the rest is history. Of course, Habba stayed in Trump's inner circle. She's now, a legal advisor to the campaign or his political action committee, maybe both, I don't know. But she was just a humble little lawyer working for the parking garage in New Jersey, hanging out at Mar-a-Lago, wanting to get into Donald Trump's inner circle, wanting that power, wanting the lifestyle. And she did it, according to this lawsuit, by taking advantage of this 21-year-old restaurant server that was being mistreated by her manager at work. And now she's got to pay a price for it. And again, the terms of this are not disclosed, so we do not know how much money Bianco is going to get from this, but hopefully it's a lot. Hopefully it's every dime that Habba has ever made working for Donald Trump and losing all those cases for him. But here's another part of it. The only reason Bianco was even allowed to sue Habba almost for legal malpractice is what I view this as. But it's because Bedminster and their lawyers, after they kind of got wind of what happened, they went back and they said, you know what? We're going to get rid of the original hush money deal. We're actually going to do a fair sum. They cut Alina Habba out of it. They would not let her go with it. And, it was Bianco's lawyers who initiated this, by the way. It wasn't the club doing it out of the goodness of their heart. But they ended up reaching a much bigger settlement agreement. So she did end up getting I don't want to call it fair price because there is no fair price for sexual harassment, but you know what I mean? Like she got a much larger sum of money than the 15 grand Habba secured for her. And I agree with them 100% that Habba did this to show Donald Trump, like, look, I just screwed over this young woman in here, saved your club some embarrassment. I'm good to go, right? I should be in the inner circle. Put me on the team. Put me out on the field, coach. And Trump did it because it was cutthroat, it was ruthless, and it was unethical. And those are the kinds of things that Donald Trump looks for, not just in lawyers, but in anybody that he brings into his organization. But that's not the end of the story, is it, folks? Because any kind of ethical breach like this, which is what Alina Habba engaged in here, it's not just about, okay, well, she got sued now and they went through mediation and dealt with it and now she's getting paid. No. You can't just say, okay, it's over. These are massive ethical lapses that even though Habba has agreed to a settlement, it is not an admission of guilt. Let's make that clear. Settlements are not admissions of guilt. However, the ethical violations that she was accused of in this lawsuit sure as hell warrant an investigation by the New Jersey State Bar. Like, you can't just look at this and look at the end result and say, okay, good, everybody's fine. No, Habba needs to be investigated and possibly disbarred for this. This is absolutely the kind of stuff that people get disbarred for, which would be the most hilarious thing to ever happen. But here's the good news. As I was reading through this story, and it's a long story, I got to the point where I was getting so frustrated, like, why the hell is there not an investigation in this? Why is the New Jersey Bar not doing anything? Then I got to the end of the story. Let me read you this. Bianco's lawsuit opens against Bedminster still opens up Habba to a possible ethics investigation that could put her professional credentials at risk. New Jersey Superior Court Judge Joseph Rea, who oversaw the club lawsuit, hinted at a possible subsequent investigation in handwritten notes he scribbled at the bottom of a court order last December. Citing the state's Code of Judicial Conduct, Rea promised to, quote, take appropriate action with Habba if this court receives reliable information indicating a substantial likelihood that a lawyer has committed a violation of the rules of professional conduct. That raises a substantial question as to the lawyer's honesty, trustworthiness, or fitness as a lawyer. But just because the judge said that doesn't mean there's an investigation going on right now, right? This week, New Jersey court spokesperson Marianne Spoto told Not Us, the Office of Attorney Ethics and the Disciplinary Review Board, quote, do not disclose cases that are before them. That information becomes public if and when disciplinary action is taken. So the reporter, Jose Pagliari, asked the New Jersey courts, like, hey, are y'all looking at this? And their response was, we can't comment on cases that are before us. So yes, I think that's a good indication that the state bar, the state court system, is in fact investigating Alina Habba. So there is a good chance that she ends up losing her law license as a result of this. Hi, everyone. This here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.